crafters! Hope you are doing well and staying crafty wherever you are. Hopefully you are feeling creatively inspired and being your beautiful creative selves. In my part of the world, it is fall-ish. Fall is coming, but the weather hasn't really figured that out yet. It's been cycling lately. Season changes, are inspiring times. It's a fun time to, think ahead for some projects you might want to do. A good time to kind of go through your closet, pull out some old favorites, maybe find some pieces that don't work for you so well anymore and donate those. Maybe do a little bit of shopping. Maybe do a little bit of thrift shopping. Of course, around here we love thrift shopping, but we also enjoy a little thrift flipping. Taking an item that maybe you got secondhand and working a little DIY crafty magic on it to maybe turn it into something that fits your body or your wardrobe or your life a little bit better. In today's project, I'm going to be tackling a t-shirt and a dress that I thrifted, and they're both pretty cool pieces. They have a lot of potential, but they need a little work to turn them into some things that I could wear a lot this season with the weather making up its mind, and hopefully into the cooler months ahead, maybe with some layering and more fallish pieces like that. Join me for the crafting adventure today and see if you get inspired to maybe do a little thrift flipping of your own. Maybe take something that doesn't quite work for you and maybe work a little crafty magic, maybe a lot of crafty magic, and turn it into something that is unique to you. I'll show you the pieces we're working with today. I'll show you the ideas that I'm playing with for their transformation. And we'll get started. I got really excited when I found this dress at the thrift store. I love me a t-shirt dress. I love it when I'm going to work. I love it when I'm just hanging out. Love them all the time. So yeah, sign me up for a cute t-shirt dress. This one has got lovely cap sleeves, super flary full skirt. It even has pockets. So yeah, sign me up. It does fit pretty great. Except for that waist. It's very snatched. And I ate way too much chocolate for that. So it's not entirely comfortable. I think I want to fix that. Thankfully it is elastic, so I think we can do a little adjusting. And those buttons are kind of cool. But they're also kind of giving me like wannabe safari vibes. I don't know, like I don't love the color. I mean, they're fine, but yeah, might wanna replace those too. Let's take a closer peek at this guy. Okay, there's that waistband that needs a little work. It's a tube, and I can feel the elastic in there. Hopefully, if we could go in from the back, open up that tube, take the elastic out, put in new elastic that's a little less tight and cinchy, then hopefully that would take care of that problem. Okay, here are those buttons. I don't know. I mean, they're fine. Maybe they actually are wood. I don't know. We'll see. Top fits great. I was trying to figure out if this is a current dress or vintage, and take a peek at the tag. All week long petites. I think this one may be vintage. The thing that kind of did it for me was, I think this is a little place in the sleeve where you could attach like Velcroed shoulder pads. I think. So, there could foreseeably have been shoulder pads in this. So yeah, I'm guessing, what do you think, like 90s? Maybe? I don't know. I do remember wearing some t-shirt dresses back in the day, so maybe that's when this is from. I do love the color. We've got kind of a dark brick red and then some yellow. I'm still trying to figure out what this pattern is, though. At first I was thinking, well, it kind of looks like flowers, but also kind of looks like sliced lotus root. And now the more I look at it, it's kind of making me think of okra. You know, like sliced okra in a soup. And then maybe these are other little pieces of okra. I don't know. Then the more I look at it, I'm kind of like, well, is this a gumbo dress? I don't know. Hey, I'm okay with that as long as it means that maybe I'll eat more gumbo. Anybody want to make me some gumbo? I'll wear a dress. Anyway, let's take a look at that waistband to see what we can do about that, and we'll get to fixing. Okay, to start with, let's start with something easy. Those buttons! Hey, thankfully I just recently got some red buttons that are kind of cool. They're really thick plastic. I don't know if they're vintage. They may be a little older. Maybe as old as this dress. I don't know. But I think they might look good. Let's try it. Well, I just stacked the buttons on top of the buttons. And oh man, I really like these. They're like the perfect size. Great color. It's funny, one button is slightly different than the others. I did get these secondhand, so I don't know what the story is, but I just put him on the bottom. That's fine. It's kind of cool, actually. I like this. I think the red's gonna go nicely with the rest of the dress and maybe not be quite as like attention grabbing. Anyway, I'm a sucker for red buttons anyway, so that's the way we're gonna go. Gee guys, talk about a great way to flip or upcycle a garment. Changing the buttons. How fun is that? I mean, it's fun to shop for buttons, right? It doesn't take that much work to sew them on. I mean, you know, it'll take a little time, but wow, you can really change a look that way. I like it. Okay, well, I'm going to sew these guys on a little later, so I'm going to save that part of the project. But I think my next step is to look at that waistband. So let's turn the garment inside out and take a look. Okay, let's look at that waistband. It's just a tube. I can feel the elastic in there. So I'm going to use my thread ripper and open up a little hole in the stitching carefully and see if I can get that elastic and then hopefully pull it out, or cut it, pull it out, and then put some new stuff in there. I don't want to mess with the pleats in the skirt. Oh my word. So I think I'll be taking out some of the stitching up here closer to the bodice, but I'll only take out as much as I need to be able to get to the elastic. Oh, funny thing, I've noticed some stains on the dress, some big ones too, but the pattern, that crazy gumbo pattern, is so crazy you can't even see them from the outside. So crazy patterns for the win, you guys. Let me get out my thread ripper. I'll just do a little work on that and show you when I can find the elastic. Phew. Okay, that was a little tricky. We had like 3 layers of fabric stitched and serged together. So this is the top of the dress. I think this is the skirt, and I think this one is this band of fabric. So, we got it. There's the elastic. I'm going to try pulling that out and then see if I have some elastic I can insert instead. I think we'll use the good old safety pin technique for that. Let's check it out. We're running into some difficulties. There are 2 spots on the dress where the elastic is stitched to this back band. And it doesn't show through on the front, but it's just on the back. So I'm trying to like pick that out so that I can actually free the elastic. Okay, keep going. More sticking points. Okay, I had to go and rip out a little bit more stitching because I was tugging on the elastic and it kept getting stuck here, and I could tell that by feeling it that it was like stitched into the stitching, like it was just caught a little bit. So more stitches to undo, which probably means more stitches to redo later. Yeah, still working on the elastic. Success! The elastic has been finally freed! Okay, I want to actually try this dress on because it doesn't look like the waist is that big, even without the elastic in there. Do we need elastic to go in? I don't know. Let's try it on and find out. Okay, I tried it on, and honestly, that waistband doesn't really need elastic because the fabric stretches, and I wouldn't want to cinch it in too much anyway with the elastic because there's actually not that much fabric there anyway. So, you know what? I'm not going to put in elastic. I'm just going to roll with it as is. Cool. Yay, we love fixes like that. Of course, we're not done. We got to go sew up all the holes I just made. This guy's a big guy. Of course, the extra thread I had to rip out on the other side of the dress is also this line of stitching that's holding the top to the skirt. So I got to fix it on the front with that giant hole. Got to fix it on the back. And then, of course, hey, we got our buttons to fix on the other side. So, you know what? I think I'm going to turn on some YouTube videos, maybe make some iced tea or some tea, and chill out, do a little bit of mending, and I'll show you what she looks like when we're done. I found this green extra large men's t-shirt at the thrift store, and it's in really great shape. I like the color. It's also pretty long, so I thought, aha, project potential here. I mean, I could do a lot of different things with this. This could be really fun to do, like a reverse bleach dye, or to paint, or to... Yeah, I've actually been holding on to it for a while because I couldn't decide what to do with it. And then I went through my fabric stash today, and I discovered this knit remnant that I've also been holding on to for a really long time. It's a really small piece. It's only, gosh, I want to say like 1.5 yards long and less than a yard deep. I got it as a remnant, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it, but I really liked it. And I think these two might need to be friends. The green color is a little different, but it's pretty close. I'm thinking, hey, you know me, I do love a good t-shirt dress, so what if we cut off the shirt, add a skirt to it, and call it a dress? Here's what I'm thinking. Now, you guys may remember when I made this t-shirt dress. I'll link to this project. It's my No Bad Vibes t-shirt. It's a lot of fun. I just added a skirt to the t-shirt. Basically, for that project, I kind of used a shorter skirt. Ooh. And I kind of gathered it, and I sewed it to the bottom of the shirt, and it made like a drop waist dress. That's one option. That would be really easy. I think I want to go maybe a little different with this guy. I'm thinking, what if I measure kind of approximately where I want the waist to be, and then cut off the shirt. Maybe a little bit more like here. Let's kind of fold it a little bit. Yeah. Probably a little longer than that, but that just gives us an idea. Then can take our fabric. It's folded in half, by the way. Take our fabric and maybe, gosh, I probably want to use all of it. There's not that much of it, but you know, there's at least a little extra around the shirt, so I could, you know, maybe I could gather it and stitch it to the dress, and then, or to the shirt, and then make a dress out of it. I may also want to use like a little bit of fabric for a belt, or maybe some other embellishment up at the top to kind of bring in the fabric and make it look more intentional. I think this is gonna work, you guys. Let me try on the t-shirt. Let me figure out kind of roughly where I'd want to cut it off, and then do a little measuring with that, see how long the skirt needs to be, and then we can talk skirt creation. Let's get started. Well, I tried the shirt on, and I kind of tried to figure out where I wanted the waistband of a skirt to meet. For me, it was like kind of above my hips, kind of like a raised waistline. So I put safety pins in while I was wearing it, and then took it off and kind of tried to figure out what the average safety pin location was. It was kind of between this one and this one. So then I marked with my ruler from the bottom of the shirt and made sure I had a little extra fabric to sew the skirt on. These guys are kind of a good example. So if I want my skirt to be stitched to right about this level, I gotta leave a little extra fabric. I'm leaving about 3/4 of an inch for my seam allowance. I'm also possibly gonna wanna kind of do, maybe kind of serge the edge of this fabric a little bit too. I don't know. We'll see. So now I can trim that off. And then I think I want to do a little bit of work with the top of the shirt. You know me, I always love complicating things, right? Yeah, well, let me show you that in a minute. Okay, we need to talk complications here. First of all, don't throw away the extra fabric. We may need this later. What if we did like a contrasting ruffle on the skirt or something? Oh, and sorry, lots of extra sound today. We got some kids playing outside, so that's what's going on. But I've been using my ruler and my chalk and my pins. Oh my word. And I just spent forever trying to kind of make the cropped shirt flat, like trying to line up the shoulder seams to make sure they were kind of even front and back, and trying to kind of flatten the sleeves a little bit. Yeah, the flatter it is, right, the better it is to cut and trim and sew. Yeah, well, here's some of the issues. Okay, I do want to take in the side seams of the shirt a little bit. It's just super boxy, so I kind of marked, I think, about 1.25 inches or something in. I think I want to sew up there just to take the side seams in a little bit. Here's the complicated part. The sleeves. They are, you know, really big. The shoulders are pretty big on me as well, so I'm going to want to trim those eventually. I'm also a little worried about this underarm area. It's really, really low on me. Like, it's like way below my underarm, and like every time I move like my shoulder or my, you know, my arm, it kind of pulls the whole garment up and down. I think partially because that armhole is so low. So I was wondering, well, can I fix that a little bit? I mean, if I'm taking the side seams in, can I sew up into the sleeve a little bit, and then maybe I could curve the seam out kind of along this chalk line and then chop off the rest of the sleeve? Now I kind of tried to start marking the same on this side, but my sleeves are wonky. I don't know if you can see. Excuse me. But like I can't get it to lay flat. Like, I have been messing with this for like the last half an hour, and like you can see how the seam is on the front over here, but it's on the back over here. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's kind of just a cheap t-shirt thing, or maybe it got a little warped in the wash. So I think I don't think I can mark this one accurately right this second because it's super wonky. So maybe what I'll do first is sew up to here, and I'll do the same over here. I'm just sewing up, and of course I used my ruler to try to help me, you know, show that I was sewing up the same distance on each side. I think I'll sew up to here, and then maybe I'll trim this sleeve off and see if I want to sew to meet the sleeve, and then I can use that sleeve, fold the garment in half, and use it as like the template for this one. Yeah, that's the plan. Let me try it. I know it sounds kind of dumb and complicated, but let's just try it and go from there. Okay, I sewed it. There we go. Up into the sleeve, curving around just a little bit. And then I think instead of cutting it off quite so short, I'm going to cut it off right about here. I may, if I like this sleeve length, I may want to hem it. So let's leave a little extra. I may even want to like make this higher. I may want to just cut it off right here. I'm not totally sure. I think I'm going to trim this one down, fold the shirt in half so I can then trace the markings onto this wild and wonky sleeve over here, and then try to extend it sewing. I did a little stitching here to get to here. It's this bit I need the other part of the shirt to help me with. Okay, did I say I love to complicate things? Yes. Yes, I did. By the way, you don't have to do any of this. You just keep the shirt as is. Or even better, use a shirt that you like the fit of. Maybe a little boxy, but not super boxy. Top tip to myself in future. Let me trim this down and then we'll mark the other side. Well, there we go. Folded in half. Did a little traceroo. Tried to kind of scribbly mark where my stitching needs to continue. Okay, let's stitch it and trim it. I may have to trim this later because, wow, that's really wonky. Oh well, let's try it. And then I gotta try it on and see if I need to make more adjustments. Fun times. Here we go. Well, we got the skirt sewn up on the side seams. And hey, we've got our little red pins in place. I divided up the front of the skirt and the front of the shirt and the back of the skirt and the back of the shirt into basically quarters. I just, folded it in half a bunch of times and marked those areas with pins, although of course the side seams are just side seams already. I am going to attempt to line up the pins on the shirt and on the skirt when I pin them together. And then I'm going to try to do that thing where you stretch the fabric of the t-shirt, which is, a little smaller than the skirt, to stretch it to match the marks of the skirt. And then hopefully, I'll pin that in place, and hopefully when I sew them together, the t-shirt fabric that's stretched will then kind of gather the skirt fabric to it as you're sewing it. Sounds crazy, but I think it'll work. We've done it before on, I think you remember, well, let's see, my No Bad Vibes t-shirt. We kind of did that on the sleeves. So let's see if we can do it again. I'm going to switch to time lapse and do a bunch of stretching and pinning and pin lining upping, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done and ready to sew. And just a note, guys, I need to pin my skirt to the shirt with the right sides of the garment together. So I've got my skirt inside out. I think I'm going to turn my shirt right side out so that I can have the front of the shirt matching the front of the skirt. Let's switch over to time lapse and do that pinning. Phew. Alright, we got it pinned. You can kind of see how the flower fabric is kind of ruffled to the green fabric a little bit. Of course, I'm going to be sewing with the zigzag stitch and those good old knit needles. As we sew, I'm going to try to be stretching the green fabric a little bit to make sure it's matching the flower fabric, and then hopefully when it's all stitched, it'll kind of all scrunch together. We'll see. I'm going to head to the sewing machine. Wish me luck. Well, all sewn up. Okay, Okay, so the flowered fabric is definitely a little ruffly. I think the green fabric also kind of stretched out a little bit extra as I was stretching it. So I may need to kind of wash the dress to let it all kind of shrink back up a little bit. That's my guess, but let's turn it right side out and see how she looks. Hey, well guys, we have a dress. Yeah! All right. So I tried it on, and it's very comfy, gotta say. I like the fit of the top. It's a little boxy still, like, you know, like kind of like we were hoping it would be. I feel like once I wash it and dry it, hopefully that waist will cinch in just a little bit more. I think I stretched out the green shirt a lot and it kind of stayed stretched. So that should help. I think I also want to maybe make some little ties that I can attach to the side seams and then tie in the back, which would help a lot. I think that would totally be great. So I have a little more fabric from the t-shirt over there. I want to use a little bit of that to add a ruffle and a little bit of that to make some ties. Let's take a look at those. Got out my rotary cutter to help me cut some strips out of the rest of the t-shirt. I did cut off the bottom hem of the shirt though, and I'm wondering, hey, could we use this to make the ties for the dress? I'm wondering if we can use the old safety pin technique and try turning this thing inside out. I think it'll be a little tricky because it's got kind of a big wide seam right there, but man, I think this would make a pretty good tie. It only has to go from the sides to the back. Okay, I might cut this in half, switch over to time lapse, and see if we can maybe use this. Let's try it. Well, that totally worked. Yes. I'm gonna remember that one. Using the bottom hem of the shirt. I knotted one end. I'm leaving the other end that I will sew to the side seams. Cool. Then I was thinking I needed 3 strips of the t-shirt to make a ruffle. And no. 2 full strips, like the full circumference of the t-shirt times 2, oh my gosh, is definitely enough ruffle. So I sewed 2 of those strips together at the ends. We now have a giant circle of green. I think my next step is to run 2 lines of really big stitches all around the top of the front ruffle piece, and then I'll do the same along the top of the back ruffle piece, and of course we'll use those threads to gather up this ruffle to fit the bottom of the skirt. you might notice I have not hemmed the bottom edge of the ruffle, and you know what? I think I'm going to leave it raw. I mean, it's knit fabric, so it's not really going to ravel. And I noticed that if you pull on this t-shirt material, it kind of rolls a little bit. So I think that'll be kind of a cool look on the bottom of the ruffle and also save us a whole bunch of time hemming. I think I'm also going to do the same thing with the sleeves. I think I'm going to leave those raw and kind of let them curl a little bit. I think it'll look fine. I think it'll look kind of cool. It's getting a little late, so I think I'm going to put in those gathering stitches, maybe do a little gathering, maybe do a little pinneroony to the skirt. Of course, pinning right sides of the ruffle to the right side of the skirt. And I'll get as far as I can tonight and then show you in the morning how far I've gone. Well, hello again, guys. We have got a lot of ruffling going on here. Whew. Okay. We are now ready to sew the ruffle to the skirt. Let's do it. Alright, we got a ruffle. Yes. I like how that ruffle ties in the green from the top. Always nice to have like a tie-in of some nature when you're adding fabric so it kind of looks like it's supposed to be there. I'm glad I didn't make it more ruffly. I could have actually maybe made it a little less ruffly since the skirt isn't so ruffly itself. I don't know. It's going to be fine. I think it'll be really cute. You might also notice we have some straps going on. Okay, let's get a close-up of those because I started working on them. Okay, let's take a peek. So I stitched our shirt hem turn ties to the side seams. And that's a little tricky to see. I kind of stitched it twice. Just little stitches, trying to be, careful so they didn't show too much. Trying to make sure I didn't get thread knotted up on the inside, Just taking my time. Let me show you the other one where I kind of have it in progress. Oh, okay, check it out. So the first time I stitched it, I kind of lined it up so I had a little extra fabric, maybe like, I don't know, a little more than 1/4 of an inch or so, sticking out. And I made it so my straps were facing the incorrect direction. I made it so they were facing to the front. And I want them to actually face to the back. Don't worry, this is just step 1. So I did some little stitches. Pretty close to the seam. And let's take that pin out. Oops, gotta do. Sorry, one-handed is tricky. Yep, stick that in there. Next, I'm gonna fold the strap backwards so it's going the correct direction. Cool. And then I'll do, and I got that little bit under there. Then I'll do some more little stitches. Maybe I'll do like 2 lines of little stitches just to keep it flat and like on there really good. Here's the other one. Alright. See? 2 little rows of stitches. Got the little extra bit inside. And now he's facing to the back. Well, you guys, I think once I finish sewing on those straps there, I think we're gonna have a dress in all of its t-shirty glory. I gotta say, it's really giving me like 90s vibes, and I'm totally enjoying that. Okay, I will get back to stitching. Don't mind my extra little pin stuck into the t-shirt. I'll get back to stitching, and then I'm gonna wash and dry the dress just to kind of let all the t-shirt stretched out kind of shrink back in, and then I will let you see what it looks like. I'm actually really excited to wear this because I think it's gonna be super comfy. And of course, you guys, if you get behind thrift flipping or upcycling or just turning old stuff into new stuff, give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more fun adventures from partners in craft. Man, we just got so many ideas around here, you never know what we're gonna come up with next. Thank you guys, as always, for sharing the love, because it does make a big difference around here. Okay, can't wait to take this dress out on some adventures and show you what she looks like.